Welcome, Journey of Hope. Doing an interview today with a gentleman from Refugee One. And Zach, go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do at Refugee One.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me here today. So I'm the communications manager at Refugee One. That's a really fancy way of saying that I help get the word out about the good work that we do working with refugees and asylum seekers in the Chicagoland area. I myself come from a family of refugees. I have a Ukrainian background, so that's kind of how I got involved in the work that I do today.
Okay, how long have you been with Refugee One?
I've been with Refugee One for about a year and a half now. Okay. So kind of after the war in Ukraine started, I was over there for a bit, and then I came back, and I was like, I want to help refugees.
Okay.
Here I am today.
Here you are. Where is Refugee One actually located?
So we're located on the north side of Chicago in West Rogers Park. Okay. Very close to where a lot of our clients live, actually.
Okay. Cubs fan or Sox fan?
You know, my family's Cubs fans, so I'm going to stay loyal to my family and say Cubs fan.
I have to ask that anyway from Chicago. How many people does Refugee One help currently?
So it is about, it's every year, it's always going up. Right now, we've helped about 2,400 people in the past year. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't include a large number of other groups of people. So since the start of the war in Ukraine, about 5,000 people. Yearly, it's anywhere from 2,000 to like 4,000 people. Overall, we've been around since the 80s, since 1982, about 20,500 people.
Okay. So it's picked up since the war in Ukraine?
Since the war in Ukraine and since a whole bunch of other factors, really. I mean, Syrian civil war back in 2016, really, we saw things go up.
Okay, so what type of people would we, if we were to help, what type of people would we helping?
So you'd be helping refugees. And refugees it's used a lot. Everyone says, oh, that person's a refugee, this is refugees. It's really specific. When you get down to what the UN, United Nations, defines as a refugee, it's someone who has a credible fear and is fleeing war, persecution, or terror. And that can be persecution for a whole number of categories, everything from religion to race to ethnic group, things like that. Mm-hmm. And we work primarily, and if anyone was ever to volunteer with us, to co-sponsor with us, we work with refugees. So these are people who have fled from their country. Take, for example, Syria. Fled to a second country, maybe a neighboring country, and they got there and they say, we can't go back to Syria. So they present themselves at a UN, a United Nations refugee camp, and say, we have a credible fear of persecution. And then they start doing all this paperwork. That paperwork, that waiting, can take usually 4 to 20 years. The average is somewhere in between. So it's a long process. And these are people who, after that 4 to 20 year waiting period, they're said, you have full legal status, you're welcome to come and be resettled, and they kind of choose which country. So it could be Germany, but for us, we only work in Chicago.
Of course.
So it'll be Chicago. And these are people coming from all around the world. Congo, Syria, Myanmar, places you may have never heard of, you might not know anything about, and that's kind of the beauty of the work.
Right. So how does the process start when they get here?
So that's a great question, because it starts with actually 2 weeks before they get here.
Right.
We get notice that someone is arriving. It could be one person, it could be a family of like 6 to 10. And the State Department says, listen, can you take this case? And usually we say yes. Then we start the hard work of gathering volunteers to help set up an apartment. Because we furnish an apartment, we rent an apartment at market value, nobody gives us a break, we don't get any deals, and provide rent for about 3 to 4 months for that family so they can get on their feet. So it starts right away with setting up that apartment so that when they arrive, always at Chicago O'Hare International Airport, we have a team waiting for them, volunteers, staff, maybe if they have family here already, families waiting, and we take them to their apartment. And for some people, I've got a story for you. We had a coworker who's from Afghanistan, and he actually came through Refugee One. Now he works there. And he said that when he arrived at his apartment, that was the first time he got to sleep on a real bed.
Oh, wow.
And he said, this just made me feel so human. And that's powerful. But of course, there's a lot that goes into living here in America. Life's not easy.
Right.
You have to learn the language, so we provide language courses. You have kids in most cases. About 50% of the refugees we resettle are kids. So we have after-school programs, summer programs, youth activities, tutoring, all of these kind of things that people can get involved in to help the kids who had a tough life and get a childhood again.
Right.
Employment is the other big bread and butter. Housing, English classes, employment. You can't make it here without a job.
Right.
And so we work with about 215 local businesses to help get them on their feet, get them, fill out their resume, get through interview practice, and land them a job.
Okay.
Beyond that, that's like the first 90 days. We also offer a lot of other programs that most resettlement agencies can't. One of the big ones is wellness. So this is group therapy, individual therapy, and support groups, as well as a dental clinic, which is pretty nice. Yeah, those big thanks to our donors.
Right.
And you might think, why a dental clinic? Well, anyone who's a doctor will know your dental health is actually connected to your overall health. So it's super important in that regard, but it's also important in building confidence. And a lot of people have gone through really bad situations in camps, whether it's malnutrition, malnourishment, or even torture.
Right.
So being able to smile, that's a wonderful gift to give.
Right.
Lastly, once they've been here for 5 years, because they're already legally on a path to be here. They're already here. There's no issues with that. But after 5 years, they can become a U.S. citizen. So we have classes for that. Citizenship test, I'll tell you, I've looked at it. It's 100 questions. It's not easy. If you can tell me, what the first 10 amendments of our Constitution are, that's going to be all right on there.
Right.
So.
All right. As I was talking to you on the phone, we are donating money this month. What else could we do?
So we always, as I mentioned before, we always need volunteers. And part of that is we're always setting up apartments. So if you're interested in donating items, in things that are really practical that people are going to use every day, we do have a household goods drive. And all you have to do is go to refugeeone.org /donate stuff. And right there we have this Amazon wish list. You can choose whatever you want. It's cookware, it's bedding, it's all these things that we need to make a house a home.
Right.
And get people settled in. So that's one way to donate, through items. Everyone has different things, different gifts they want to donate. Some people want to donate money, some people want to donate time. And if you want to donate time, we have a ton of opportunities.
Okay. Like what?
So for volunteering, you can be a tutor. We have both adult and youth tutoring. So if you feel like teaching, helping someone with their English skills, this is an excellent way to get involved. We also have mentorship opportunities. What is mentorship? This is really more holistic than just tutoring. You're going to be helping adults who have just come here. So if you're an adult mentor, how do you take the bus? What do you do in this kind of a situation? Just kind of walking alongside somebody as they adjust to life. And same with the youth mentors. Those are all big commitments though. So we usually require about a 6-month commitment in terms of volunteering because it's not a short journey.
Right.
But if you're looking for something one time, we've got that too, apartment setups. If you're strong, you're willing, you can help set up an apartment for refugees arriving.
Okay.
Last opportunity I'll mention, now this is like the Rolls Royce of opportunities. Say you're like, I'm in this, let's go. I really want to help refugees as much as possible. We have what's called the co-sponsorship. Now, a co-sponsorship is, again, a 6-month commitment, but you're gathering about 6 to 8 friends, family members, congregation members, whoever you can get, to raise money, welcome a family, furnish their apartment, and then walk alongside them for 6 months as they're here. And we've had just beautiful stories of what that's like. Probably the one that stands out the most, and you can see this was in the Chicago Tribune, this Thanksgiving and last Thanksgiving. So It was a family. Jessica, she was co-sponsoring with their friends and family. They were, they're living out in the suburbs. I can't remember where. But
Oh, that's all right.
they got together to decide to co-sponsor. And they didn't know who they would get. And they got Nurzan and her husband and their kids, who came from Myanmar, from Burma. They're Rohingya. They had no way of communicating with each other. They had no way of like really getting to know each other. But they kind of made it work because they started like texting and just emojis, using like hieroglyphs to communicate. And their relationship grew so much. So Nurzan, the Rohingya woman, she arrived pregnant. And they grew so close that she asked Jessica to be there at the labor when she gave birth.
Wow.
And to cut the cord.
Uh-huh.
I mean, talk about like a phenomenal experience.
Right.
They're still so close to this day. I mean, this was 2 years ago almost now that
Right.
they started their co-sponsorship. So
Cool.
beautiful stories.
Yes, it is.
And it transforms not only the refugee's life, but your life as well.
Exactly. So thank you for coming.
I appreciate it.
We will be in touch, I'm sure, more as the year progresses.
Absolutely.
All righty. Thank you very much.
And thank you.
How'd that go, Jerry?